Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Term 4. Today it's Monday, the 22nd of February, and we are going to kick off the term by starting with our entry day. And our topic this term is all about ancient Egypt. Egypt was home to one of the most advanced civilizations of the ancient world, lasting from around 3100 BCE to 30 BCE. BCE stands for before the Common Era, when it was conquered by the Romans. Protected from invaders by deserts and fed by fertile farmland on the banks of the River Nile, the Egyptian civilization survived for thousands of years with few major changes.
Hello, future people of the UK. Fancy a trip to ancient Egypt? Well, to reach us, you'll need to go way back in time. 5,000 years, in fact. So go back before the Vikings, back before the Romans, and keep going back until you're at the start of the Bronze Age, and they're building Stonehenge. Now head southeast to Egypt, about 2,000 miles away. We're just at the top of Africa, and well, I'm down there. Yes, you made it. I'm Nefer, by the way, and today's my big day. I'm going to feed the pharaoh. Anyway, time to get ready. Linen kilt, check. Sandals, check. Eye makeup, check. Now, let me quickly show you around my home. It's got all the mod cons. An oven, makes great bread, a fridge. Well, it's a hole in the ground, but it keeps things cool. And this is our toilet. Well, it's a bowl with a chair on top. Will you excuse me for a minute? Okay, time to go to work. I might be only 12, but in ancient Egypt, everyone's got a job at my age. I think we should walk. I would take the camel, but camels don't arrive in Egypt for another 3,000 years. I'm following in my father's footsteps. Luckily for me, he's not a farmer like most people, because farming is a tough job. Can you imagine digging the fields under the sun all day? We scarcely even get clouds here. As for a nice drop of rain, forget it. We couldn't even live here if it wasn't for the Nile. It provides all our water and our food, because every summer it floods and covers the fields with a special black earth that makes it really easy to grow crops. Which means there's plenty for everyone to eat, especially pharaohs. The Nile is also a great way to get around. Not so good for swimming though. Bad case of crocodiles. In fact, our whole civilization is clustered around this river, in cities hugging its banks for 300 miles. With this river providing everything we need, we've had time to invent some really cool stuff, like a special type of paper, which we made from papyrus reeds. And astronomy. We use the sun and stars to predict when this river will flood. And of course, building with stone. Big time. I expect some of our buildings will be famous for a very long time. These look familiar? Yup, the pyramids. Well, that's how you see them. In my day, they don't look like that. They've got smooth sides, covered in polished limestone. We build pyramids to bury our pharaohs in. You do something similar. You've built big stone structures like Westminster Abbey and Windsor Castle. And they've got tombs underneath where you bury your kings and queens. But our pyramid is over twice the height of Westminster Abbey. Just saying. Anyway, mustn't be late. Can't have the pharaoh waiting for his food. Well, this is it. This is where I work. It's a temple. My dad is a priest, and I'm a trainee. Now, to be a priest, you have to learn some special knowledge, like reading and writing, but hieroglyphics. They're really tricky. Take the word cat. You draw a milk jar, and then a feather, and then a bird. Wouldn't it be easier if you could just draw a cat? But what do I know? I'm just a trainee. As a priest, my job will be to look after Khufu, one of the most famous pharaohs ever. And the most important task is to feed him. So this is it. Today I'm finally allowed to go with the high priest to take him his lunch. Not many people are allowed in here. By the way, don't expect to meet him, because Khufu's been dead for a few years. In fact, he's a mummy now. When he died, they took out his intestines, his liver, his lungs, and his stomach, and put each of them in a separate jar. They covered him in salt to suck all the water out, wrapped him in cloth, and put him in the biggest pyramid with lots of treasure to take with him into the afterlife. Anyway, given that he's dead and doesn't have a stomach, you might be wondering why he needs feeding. Well, pharaohs aren't just kings, they're also gods. And when they die, they go on a long journey to the heavens. And the last thing any god wants is to be hungry on the way. So we make sure that Khufu the Great never becomes Khufu the Hungry. In case we ever forget, the door has a magic spell to create food anyway. Having said that, he never eats it. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. Quite an impressive place, don't you think? Of course it won't last forever. After 3,500 years, the Romans kind of take over. And all this, well, it'll be history.
As we were told in the video earlier, this is where Egypt is, and it's in the continent of Africa. Now, this is what historians think ancient Egypt would have looked like between 3,100 BCE to 30 BCE. Now, as you can see, we've got the civilization is built around the Nile, and the Nile created lots of opportunities for farming and fishing. You can see here we've got Egyptian temples, we've got the Valley of the Kings where Egyptian pharaohs would be buried. We've got places where people are doing farming. We've got the Great Sphinx and the Great Pyramids that have been built. So it really was a very impressive civilization. Ancient Egyptians buried their dead in a decorative coffin known as a sarcophagus. A pharaoh's sarcophagus was often decorated with symbols etched onto its hard stone surface. Ancient Egyptians typically painted pharaoh's sarcophagi with detailed ornate paintings and hieroglyphics that offered spiritual protection. And remember, hieroglyphics is the writing that the Egyptians used to communicate with one another. They believed the artwork came to life in the afterworld and helped the dead in their journey from one place to another. They used brightly coloured, cheerful paintings to cover the coffins. Most sarcophagi included paintings of large human eyes that the Egyptians believed provided a window so the dead could see out of the coffin and into the afterlife. Scenes from mythology, battles between the gods, supernatural creatures, images of the gods, sacred animals, trees, water, and geographical locations were frequently painted onto a pharaoh's sarcophagus. Your independent task for today's session is to create your own colourful sarcophagus design. Now, there has been an outline attached to the daily email that you can print off and use, or that you can use to help design your own. On the slide, you can see in the middle there are some examples of some children's work when they have created their own sarcophagus. On the left, there is a real sarcophagus recovered from the tombs in ancient Egypt. On the right-hand side, there are some examples of some hieroglyphics that you could use to create possibly the name of your Egyptian pharaoh. Remember, with hieroglyphics, you need to use the symbol and not write the letter. The more colourful, the more bold and the brighter it is, the better. Here is an example of the outline that you can use to help you. If you don't have a printer, you can use this to help you copy the outline onto a piece of paper. Here's my start to my sarcophagus. I've chosen 3 colours. I've chosen gold, blue and teal because they're nice and bright, but the gold also made me think of somebody who was rich. And as we know, only rich ancient Egyptians like pharaohs were mummified and buried. I'd love to see your examples of what you've got up to. Please tweet them, please email your teachers and share them with us. We'd love to see your beautiful, colourful and bright sarcophagus. Well done, guys. Fantastic job today. Super proud of you.